Hello and welcome back to the All-Wheel Drive Club Ravenel and Brit Parts Safari competition. Now the second round season is back in Wales, however it's a slightly more technical course than we saw at Walters in Ebbw Vale. Stephen here is back again, he won the first round, Adrian Marfell isn't, but one to watch I think this weekend is Rod Parker in his Milner R1, and I caught with him before the action started. Rod, you won your class at Walters Arena, 5th overall. It's a very quick machine. Talk us through it.
So she's a Milner R5, built in 09. She's running a 350Z Nissan Cosworth engine, running on Don Air suspension with a full flat shift sequential side Ev gearbox. So a real piece of kit, yeah.
Yeah, that combination of everything, the gearbox, the engine, the driver, the suspension, it makes a formidable machine, and that's what we saw in the first round. Hopefully you can do it again here.
Hopefully, yeah. We're still waiting for an overall win, so hopefully we can see what we can do this weekend.
On to the morning's action then, and the overcast and chilly conditions that greeted the drivers did nothing to put our early leader Stuart Williams off his stride. Stuart was a non-finisher at the opening round at Walters Arena, so arrives here at Ebbw Vale determined to put that behind him and get his season off to a proper start. Here he provides us with our first view of the bumpy and technical course for this weekend. Despite his first run time being 20 seconds off the leading pace, Run 2 saw him go over a minute quicker than anybody else, taking a comfortable lead after the first 2 runs. The early pace setter after the first run was Mark Hones, who headed an extremely tight early leaderboard that saw the top 7 crews separated by just 5 seconds. However, in the second run, nobody could live with the pace of Williams. Hones was second quickest, but is already nearly 45 seconds off the lead. There is an argument to say that this very technical course is better suited to the car of Stuart Williams, so Mark will be looking to take advantage of any high-speed sections he finds. Second place after the opening run of the event was Rod Parker in the Milner R5. Rod says that the Ebbw Vale course is his favourite on the calendar, and he proved that with his early pace. However, Run 2 did not go quite to plan. He lost a big chunk of time and fell back outside the top 2 outright. Leading Class 9, and remarkably joint third outright after the first 2 runs, is Gareth Edwards. Gareth was a second slower than Rod Parker in Run 1, but 1 second quicker in the second run, meaning the pair of them share a podium place in the early stages. Gareth was third at Walters Arena, so things are already off to a promising start here at round 2. How hard will he be willing to push for an outright podium though, and is it worth risking a class victory? Only time will tell, but he was certainly pushing on in the early going. Mike Bakewell was always likely to be a part of this podium battle, and in the early stages here at Ebbw Vale, that is definitely the case. He's within 10 seconds of Rod Parker's third place after the first 2 runs, but much like Gareth Edwards, the Class 9 victory may turn out to be the priority. Just 2 seconds further back though is Andy Skelly, another of the expected Class 9 frontrunners this weekend. He's been setting an equally competitive pace this morning, almost matching the top times in the first run and only losing a handful of seconds in Run 2. Andy didn't compete in the season opener at Walters Arena though, so the fact that he's straight on the pace here will be sure to please him. This is also therefore his first opportunity to score big points, and he's straight in the podium battle. A trouble-free run is a must though, because that 0 points haul at Walters Arena means he's used up his dropped score. Any more non-finishes could see him plummet out of championship contention. From the Class 9 podium fight to the battle for Class 5 podium honours now. Stuart Williams may have a commanding lead already, but for second in class it's all to play for, with the position changing hands after each of the early runs. For now, it's Paul Rowland's Polaris that holds second place after a strong second run saw him move 7 seconds clear of his nearest rival. That will be music to Paul's ears after a difficult season opener a few weeks ago. Points for a podium finish would go a long way towards keeping him in the early championship contention, but Paul knows there's still a long way to go in this one. Still, it's a promising start for Paul, who'll be keen to hang on to this second place in class till the end, and if possible, a top 10 overall. The man trying to knock Paul one step further down that podium, though, is Chris Cumming in his similar Polaris. Chris is a former class winner here at Ebbw Vale, so knows the terrain well, something he'll be looking to use to his advantage as the day goes on. Chris was actually quicker than Rowlands in run 1, but lost 8 seconds in run 2, meaning there's work to be done if he wants to reclaim that second place. Leading Class 6 at the moment is Mick Chick, and a commanding lead it is. It may still be early days, but it will be a brave man indeed who bets against him taking the victory, as he's already more than a minute clear of anybody else in class. Let's take the chance then to ride on board with the dominant class leader after the first 2 runs of the day. With the relative lack of competition in Class 6 for the victory at least, Mick's target will be to improve upon his 9th place outright in the early stages. If he keeps this sort of pace up, there's no reason to suspect he won't be even further up the leaderboard come the end of the day. Back to Class 5 now, and Philip Parpotus, who is in 4th place and 10th overall after 2 runs. After a promising opening attempt that saw him amongst the podium contenders, it all fell apart on run 2, where he lost nearly 30 seconds to Paul Rowlands and Chris Cummings ahead of him. This means that whilst he is still 4th in class, he's 28 seconds behind second place, and having just missed out on a podium place at Walters Arena, he'll be keen not to miss out again this weekend. If he can find a return to that early morning pace though, he should still be in contention for a top 3. It will require some full commitment driving for the rest of the day though. Next in Class 5 is Andy Dare in another Polaris. The Polaris seems to suit the tight and technical Ebbw Vale course, so it's no surprise to see so many of them running well in both Class 5 and the overall standings. Indeed, Andy's first run was well within the top 10 overall, but much like Philip Parpotus before him, the second run was less impressive, and he is 13 seconds behind Philip after 2 runs today. To make matters worse for Andy, he non-finished last time at Walters Arena, so needs all the points he can get. Expect his pace to improve as the day goes on, as he tries to challenge for a class podium. Leading Class 7 in the early going are Jason and Harry Nicol in their mighty Maserati. 4.8 litre Rover V8 engine powering them along. This pair usually look forward to the more high-speed and flowing courses where they can really stretch this car's legs. However, this is Jason's favourite venue of the year, and they're showing that potential with promising speed in the early stages. There may not be that many Class 7 cars here this weekend, but a top 10 overall result is definitely on the cards. The pair will be double driving events this year, as they aim to share the workload and share the fun throughout 2019. It's another class leader next, with the early honours in Class 4 going the way of Charles Dunn. It's a fairly handsome advantage that he holds as well, verging on 30 seconds over the rest of his Class 4 rivals. And that's good news, since he wasn't out at Walters Arena last time out, and wasn't entirely sure what pace to expect. In a car that was built primarily for winching events, it's good to see that his pace is strong here at Ebbw Vale as he continues to gain experience in safari rallying. For Bruce Mallett, it's been a frustrating start to the event. As well as having to dodge some slower traffic at one point, he's been strangely off the pace all morning and is some way adrift of his nearest Class 9 rivals. For Bruce, any chance of a class podium has probably already gone, so a top 10 outright finish will be his target. Make sure you join us after the break to see what happens next here at Ebbw Vale. Hello and welcome back to Ebbw Vale, where we've had drama in Class 6. Class winner last time out was Scott Benwell, but unfortunately he's an early retirement here in round 2, getting through just the single run on the event, meaning he will score just a single championship point. That's likely to become his drop score. Nonetheless, that's a disappointing way to start the second event of the season. Also out in the early stages is Stephen Nichols. He gets through 2 runs, so will at least score 50 championship points, but is likely to lose quite a lot of points to some of the leaders in Class 4 who are looking for consistent finishes here early in the season. Nicholas Pritchard, meanwhile, was guaranteed a Class 3 victory if he got to the finish. Unfortunately, though, he hasn't got to the finish. He gets through the first couple of runs and then is forced out of contention. It's a shame as well, because he was spectacular whilst he lasted. Making his first appearance in the championship this weekend was Tom Rimmel. Unfortunately, though, his first appearance only lasted 2 runs, and he is another to add to this growing list of retirements early on. Tom was setting decent pace on the first run before disaster struck on run 2. Mechanical dramas forcing him to sit at the sidelines and watch for the rest of the day's running. We've seen a surprisingly high attrition rate here in the early going. The course may have started out rough, but we always expected most retirements would come later on in the day as the course got rutted and therefore harder on the cars. Tom, though, one of many in trouble early on. Another Class 8 competitor out in the early stages was Gary Bull in the MG Metro. Gary was setting near identical times to Tom Rimmel on the first run of the event, and we were looking forward to the battle between the two of them. Sadly, though, by the end of the second run, they would both be out, not to be seen again for the rest of the day. Let's hope we get this car back out in the future, though. It's a spectacular addition to the field and a real fan favourite. And if if we thought the going was rough for those in highly modified off-road machinery, spare a thought for those in the more production-based Freelanders. Here, Brian Chase, another out in the early stages, one of 4 Class 1 competitors who would fail to make the finish. He had been one of the fastest Class 1 cars though in the early stages, so we'll hope to see him back again later this season, where hopefully he'll be able to deliver on that potential. Back to the leaders now, and through the middle portion of the day, it's been Mark Hones who's been setting the pace. In fact, he's moved into the event lead now, with Stuart Williams starting to fade. Mark's pace has been sublime, regularly one of the only drivers able to get under the 7-minute barrier. Indeed, his 3rd and 4th runs were identical 6-minute 55 times, and it's that consistency as much as anything that sees him out in front. Rod Parker is doing his very best to go with Mark Hones and sits in 2nd place midway through the event. However, he is now nearly a minute shy of the event leader and really will be having to focus on holding on to 2nd place. He's at the head of a titanic 3-way tussle for the lower steps on the podium. The overall victory, and with it the Class 8 victory, may be out of reach, but one thing is for sure, Rod will not be able to take it easy for the rest of the day. Right now, his target is 2nd outright. He'll want less of this though, getting stuck behind a slower runner, running in their dust. That'll hold him up and cost him vital seconds that he can ill afford to lose. Further down the order, Jasmine Philpott may be some way adrift of the front runners in Class 8, but her private battle with Lizzie Jones is always sure to entertain. This weekend is no different. Down in the paddock, Anthony caught up with Jasmine.
Thanks, Andy. And the row between Lizzie Jones and Jasmine Philpott is continuing here into round 2. Jasmine, talk us through what you're expecting here at Ebbw Vale.
Well, I've raced here a few times now, so I actually did my first race here years ago, so I know it quite well. It's nice because the weather's good, so the ground is dry, so I think it should be really quick. So for me, I'm just going to be pushing it and seeing if I can get a better finish than last time. I think I came 7th overall.
It says on your car.
Yeah, exactly.
And we saw you out in the hill rally. You had a decent rally, apart from breaking a gearbox. Are you ironed out all the creases from last year?
Yeah, that was just a really unlucky event. It was the end of the season, so the car was just tired. So it's completely ready to go, and Gary, our mechanic, repairs it really, really well. So we've got nothing to worry about, hopefully.
Yeah, you've got to prepare yourself. Have you walked around the course yet?
Yeah, we walked it, and it seems really good. It usually follows a similar format every year, so once you've done it a few times, you kind of get used to it. But yeah, it looks quick.
Next in line behind Jasmine is James Bull, who's running 6th in Class 5 midway through today. That's exactly where he finished at Walters Arena last time out, so you can't fault his consistency. James, though, no doubt would like to move further up the leaderboard if possible, and maybe get into the top 15 outright. It's been a fairly cautious run for James though, the tight and technical Ebbw Vale course not necessarily suiting him or his machinery. He'll be happy to finish and score some solid points. Class 4 winner last time out at Walters Arena was Paul Hansen. Here in round 2 he's 18th overall, but only 2nd in class at the midway point. Disappointingly for Dye, he's over a minute off the class lead as well, and looks unlikely to challenge for victory, barring any dramas from runaway leader Charles Dunn. will though be able to take some solace from the fact that he was 20 seconds quicker than Charles on the 4th run of the day, as this may be a sign that the tides are starting to turn. Still, a victory and a second place would be a very solid points haul at the start of the season. If there's any chance of a victory though, you can be sure that Hansen will go for it. Another driver to go strongly in his class last time out was Derek Wheeler, who was 3rd in Class 6 at Walters Arena. Derek is going one better than that at the moment and is 2nd at the midway point. However, he's another driver to find the going tough as we get later in the day. On the 4th run, he lost a big chunk of time to the chasing pack behind and is now going to have to push hard to defend his 2nd place. Shown strong pace earlier on in the morning though, so if he can find a return to that sort of form, he's got every chance of doing it and going one better than last time out. In fact, that 2nd place in Class 6 has been toing and froing all day long between Derek and the crew of Leighton Dodds and Martin Hayward. These two have been in front on a number of occasions already this morning, but lost a big chunk of time on run 3, and with it, potentially any chance of taking 2nd place. However, their 4th run was very impressive, and the fight back began immediately. They took 4 seconds back out of Wheeler, and are now only 7 seconds behind in the overall standings. Having non-finished last time out, a podium would be a good result for Dodds and Hayward. 2nd place though would be even better, and they are not expected to back off at all through the rest of the day. Next up is Lizzie Jones, who is only 6 seconds behind the pairing of Dodds and Hayward. Lizzie always sets a consistent pace, and this weekend has been no different, every run being within about 10 or 15 seconds of each other, and it's that sort of consistency that continues to bring her good points hauls week in and week out. She was 7th in class last time out at Walters Arena and is running in a similar position midway through the Ebbw Vale event. If she keeps on racking up point finishes like that, the top 5 in the championship is definitely on the cards. A very respectable result come the end of the season. Parry were podium finishers in Class 8 last time out at Walters Arena, a result that they're looking less likely to repeat this time out. They may only be 1 position away from the top 3, but they're nearly 3 minutes behind 3rd place. Nonetheless, it's looking like a solid points haul for them, and they've set an impressive pace throughout the middle of the day. As most teams struggle with the deteriorating course conditions, they set one of their fastest runs on run 4, showing that they've got good consistency. Could that lead to a podium challenge later on? Well, as we now head into the afternoon's running, Team Parry, along with everybody else, will be looking to try and gain as many positions as they can in the run-in to the end of the event. Be sure to join us after the break to see what happens next. Hello and welcome back to Ebbw Vale in the second round of the all-wheel drive club Brit-Ravenol Safari Championship. Before we continue our rundown of the order, let's take another look at a few of the drivers who have failed to make it to the finish. Keith Wild just missed out on a top 5 in Class 8 last time out at Walters Arena. This time around though, things have not gone quite as well. Keith made it through the first 3 runs of the event before unfortunately pulling into retirement. However, as long as you start and complete at least 1 run, you're guaranteed 50 championship points, so it's not been a complete disaster. He'll be hoping to try and bounce back next time and score some more decent points, as despite this non-finish, he's still 5th in the Class 8 Championship, leading Ebbw Vale. Luke Dodds was a podium finisher in Class 1 last time out, but much like Keith Wild in Class 8, things have not gone quite to plan here at Ebbw Vale. A retirement for Luke and Kieran Jones, his co-driver, mean that they will not score as many championship points as they were hoping for from this second round of the championship. They will, however, still leave Ebbw Vale second in the points, helped no doubt by the high rate of attrition in Class 1, as these more production-based cars struggle a little with the really rough terrain. They'll be looking to bounce back next time and try to get onto the top step of the podium for the first time this season. Another Class 1 competitor who was setting decent times before retiring midway through the event was Simon Crowe. Simon looked like he might challenge for a podium in the early stages, before unfortunately falling by the wayside after 3 runs. He was one of the most spectacular Class 1 drivers out there, so hopefully he'll be back later on in the season to show us exactly what he can do. Simon may have only been in the event for 3 runs, but he had an eventful time, clocking up some of the most spectacular driving, and also getting himself into a minor altercation with a slower runner. I think it's fair to say he didn't appreciate getting held up. Whilst it was disappointing to see so many Class 1 competitors hitting trouble through the mid part of the day, one driver was perhaps breathing a slight sigh of relief. Richard Mayer-Barron was now the comfortable Class 1 leader, by part as a result of other people falling by the wayside. However, his pace had been strong in the early stages before he was able to take it a little easier through the second half of the event. Richard had a disappointing season opener at Walters Arena, scoring just a solitary point, having started the event but not got much further. He'll be looking to make sure he reaches the finish, and since he's not under too much pressure, you can't really forgive him the cautious approach. Running in Class 9, Andy Kent and James Withers may have expected to be running a bit further up the order, but they've had a very up and down day. They've been trading places in Class 9 with Lizzie Jones all morning long, the two of them virtually inseparable in their times. However, run 3 was a poor one for Andy, and despite fighting back slightly in run 4, he then lost further time in runs 5 and 6. This means that his chances of improving his class position are now looking rather slim. This means they look likely to lose a position in the championship to Lizzie as well, dropping them potentially out of the top 5 in class. One driver making the brave transition from co-driver's seat to driver's seat is Matthew Hall. Matthew has been competing in the Safari Championship since 2017, but this is his first year driving. He's more traditionally seen alongside the very rapid Jason Rowlands. Coming from a background of mainly motorcycle enduro racing, this is a very different challenge indeed for Matthew, but he's showing good signs of pace. Indeed, his first run this morning was right up there with the top 5 in class. Sadly, he had a disastrous second run though, losing over 8 minutes to the front runners in class 5 and costing himself any chance of a podium finish. Still, for someone with such little experience, the raw pace that he's demonstrated this weekend is really impressive. Let's hope we see more of that as the season goes on. Roger Baker had a non-finish last time out at Walters Arena, so he'll be grateful that this time out at Ebbw Vale, things are going much better. Roger may be down in 26th place overall, but he's in the top 5 within Class 6, and that is very much what he's targeting this season. A good haul of class points could put him into the top 3 in the championship, despite that disappointment at round 1. And with the attrition rate increasing as the event goes on, he'll be looking to get to the end in one piece and potentially pick up a few more positions. Philippa and James Tennant won their class last time out at Walters Arena, but the Class 1 victory looks less likely to go their way here at round 2. They're over 4 minutes behind Richard Mayer Barron as we go into the final couple of runs, but they'll be happy with a solid podium finish. Consistency is key in an event like this, and there have been another crew who have been setting times within 10 or 15 seconds of each other every run. That kind of consistency will almost guarantee you podium finishes as long as you stay out of trouble. You can see here how much more carefully these more production-based Class 1 cars have to go around some of the bumpier parts of the course. Make no mistake though, the drivers are still pushing to the limits, hence the reason so many of them have fallen into trouble midway through. Class 1 continues to be a great entry-level category in the championship though. Let's hope we see more and more new faces appearing as the year goes on. Joanne Pullens is making her first appearance of the season here at Ebbw Vale, having missed the season opener at Walters Arena. She's running in one of the many very rapid Polaris out there, but is still finding her feet in what is, no doubt, a capable machine. The difference in time between her first 2 runs was several minutes, but as the day has gone on, she's slowly started to chip her way back towards the pace that she showed first thing this morning. In fairness though, only those right at the top of the leaderboard have been able to maintain their pace from the first couple of runs. As the course gets more and more rutted, the pace inevitably slows. And for Joanne, she'll be taking it easy, trying to score as many points as she can. One driver definitely not hanging around after a disappointing start to the event is Jason Rowlands. Jason was 3rd overall last time at Walters Arena and won Class 5. This weekend though, he's had a disaster and is just looking to pick up whatever points he can salvage. Things started off okay with a competitive first run, but his second run was where it all went horribly wrong. A 22-minute time meant that he plummeted right to the back of the order. Since then, he's been picking his way back up the leaderboard. He's now back into the top 30 overall and is within 20 seconds of Joanne Pullens, another Class 5 competitor. Tony Rooney, meanwhile, rounds out the top 30 heading into the final part of the day. He may be some way down the overall order, but he's still 3rd in Class 4 and looking to hang on to that podium position to the end. Tony was one of many to non-finish at Walters Arena last time out, so a podium finish is a welcome return to form this weekend. And with not that many Class 4 contenders this season, a few more podium results like this, and he could be in contention for the title. Welcome back to Ebbw Vale, where we have major drama in Class 1 for the all-wheel drive club here. Richard Mayer-Barron, the runaway class leader, has sprung a substantial oil leak just before the final run. We'd said not long ago that all he needed to do to take the class victory was bring it home in one piece, and now that's in jeopardy. Well, thankfully, it looks as though he's got the car back out there again and he's running at a decent pace. So, deep breaths all round. I think he should be able to come home the class victor. A shame for Philippa and James Tennant. They must have thought they'd looked in again to another class victory at Richard's expense, but it's not to be. He should now come home the class victor. Final run underway now then for event leader Mark Hones, who may enjoy over a minute's advantage over his nearest rivals. That is not stopping him from throwing this car around with wild abandon. He's been so spectacular all day long, and the high-revving BMW engine Mini is proving a real hit to the spectators out on the course. Mark was only 10th outright at Walters Arena, 2nd in class, but the Class 8 cars seem to have the edge here this weekend, and he is now just one run away from the victory. The real battle going into the final run, though, is the one for 2nd place, where Rod Parker enjoys a slender 4-second margin in his fight to hold on to the runner-up spot. He's already guaranteed 2nd place in class as long as nothing goes wrong, but it's an all-attack final run as he does everything he can to try and hold on to the 2nd place. Miraculously, it looks like he might do it. He sets exactly the same time as the event leader, one of his fastest runs of the entire day. Will it be enough though? Gareth Edwards will surely be pushing hard behind him, and it is all still to play for. We won't know the final result just yet. So, Gareth Edwards, Class 9 leader, into the final run, has to make up 4 seconds on Rod Parker to move into 2nd place overall. Whilst he would love to do that, the class points are equally, if not more, significant. He has to push on though. He has only a 10-second margin over Mike Bakewell for Class 9 honours. It doesn't look like he's going to match Rod Parker's times. Will he do enough to hold on to the class victory? Well, Mike Bakewell has been mounting a bit of a resurgence this afternoon. His pace this morning wasn't that strong, but through runs 5 and 6, he set his 2 fastest times of the day to inch back towards Gareth Edwards. With just 10 seconds between them coming into the final run, it will require a mega effort for Bakewell to move on to the outright podium and also take the all-important Class 9 victory. It doesn't look as though he's going to do it though. Gareth seems to have enough in hand to hang on to this 3rd place. Nonetheless, it's been a titanic battle between these three for the lower steps of the podium, and hopefully that is a sign of things to come for the rest of the year. Stuart Williams led the event after run 1, but quickly found himself getting swallowed up by the quicker Class 8 and 9 cars. Nonetheless, the relatively inexperienced competitor has had a very strong showing and is looking like a comfortable Class 5 victory. Before the final few runs started, Anthony caught up with Stuart back in the paddock.
Yeah, thanks Andy. Stuart Williams, he was a newcomer last year, he was out this weekend in a new car, in the Yamaha YZ 1000R. It's turbocharged, 249 brake horsepower coming out of the back wheels. There's plenty of other gadgets on it as well. Talk us through it.
Well, the car's quite new to me really. I've only had it less than 2 weeks now, but it's got shock relocation brackets, so it's got longer shocks than standard. They've all been reworked by ProLinks. It's got Demon drive shafts, which give you a better angle of articulation. It's got uprated brakes. It's got MCX turbo kit on it with a separate ECU. It's got a heel tech flat shift system, which I don't even know if I said that right, but because I haven't read the instructions properly yet. So yeah, lots of gadgets which I'm still getting to know. Very excited about getting to use it this weekend and dig up some mud really.
The Class 9 podium looks like it will be rounded out by Andy Skelly. He's been in that final podium position for most of the event and has a fairly comfortable margin over his nearest class rivals. He's not a million miles ahead of 7th place overall though, and he'd like to finish as high up the order as he possibly can. Remarkably, all of Andy's runs today have been within 14 seconds of each other, meaning not only is he setting an impressive pace, but he's been one of the most consistent competitors here today. Paul Rowlands looks set to get a Class 5 podium. He's second going into the final run, nearly 30 seconds clear of his nearest class rivals. There's half an opportunity for Paul to move ahead of Andy Skelly in the outright rankings, but it would require a mega push on this final run, one that could put the class podium to risk. Whether or not he chooses to go for it awaits to be seen, but a safe and sensible approach is more likely. Round 1 winner Stephen Hiat had a nightmare this morning as he fell outside the top 20 overall at one point in the early runs. He's fought back from those early dramas though and has clawed his way back up the order. He now looks set to finish 8th overall and 4th in Class 9. Not a bad fight back given how low he was this morning. However, for someone who is clearly expected to be a championship contender, 4th in class will not go down too well and he'll be looking to get back to winning ways next time out. That 8th place, though, is in jeopardy from a rapid Chris Cumming, who has been setting the timing sheets alight in the afternoon. His final few runs have been some of the fastest of the day. More than that, though, he's got the Class 5 victory in sight. Paul Rowlands is not that far ahead of him, and we believe there's been some late issues for Stuart Williams, resulting in a loss of pace. Could it all be about to change in Class 5? Various his people's dramas, it may be possible that Chris could leap from 9th to 6th in the final run. What a way to round the event out. So with the demise of Stuart Williams, Phil Parpotas could now inherit a podium position. Had it not been for Chris Cumming, it could have even been 2nd place. He'll settle for 3rd if he can get it though, but even that is not for certain. Andy Dare is not a million miles behind him, and it's yet another of those Class 5 battles that will rage right down to the wire. Phil will have to push extra hard on this final run to safeguard his podium finish. Well, it will take quite some effort from Andy Dare to take that final podium place away from Fillon though. He's some distance behind coming into the final run of the day. Given the fact that Andy failed to finish at Walters last time out, it may well be that he chooses to settle for the 4th place and to take some solid points from round 2. He's under no pressure from behind, so a no-risk approach to the final run appears to be the order of the day. In Class 7 though, things are a little more settled, with Jason and Harry Nicol having led the class from start to finish. They're now in fact the only Class 7 cars still left in the running. They're also set to become possibly the only double-class victors from the first 2 rounds, having won Class 7 in a fairly comfortable margin at Walters Arena as well. They still have to finish though, and they'll no doubt be nervous to see several other high-profile teams running into trouble right at the end. Unbelievably, there is more late changing of the order in Class 6, which has been led all day long by Mick Chick. Remarkably, late drama will befall him though, and he looks set to lose the class victory to Leighton Dodds and Martin Hayward. It's a real shame, they've been the pace setters all day, but such is the nature of the all-wheel drive club safaris. You have to finish in one piece, and in such rugged terrain, it's so easy to suffer misfortune, even when you're not pushing too hard. That will mean a gainer position for Bruce Mallett in the final run of the event. He may be in a different class to Mick, but he'll be grateful to take an extra position in the overall standings. Bruce's pace has been steadily improving as the day goes on, but he chooses to back off in the final couple of runs, knowing he's under no pressure for his Class 9 position. He is one of very few competitors able to take it easy at the end though, with so many fights going right down to the wire. Well, after a hugely eventful day here at Ebbw Vale, it is victory for Mark Hones by a comfortable margin. Rob Parker gets the better of Gareth Edwards in the fight for second, but Gareth is still a Class 9 victor. Chris Cumming wins in Class 5, he's inside the top 10 as well, whilst Jason and Harry Nicol win in Class 7, just missing out on a top 10 finish overall. Class 4 goes to Charles Dunn, whilst Leighton Dodds and Martin Hewitt take a 9-second victory in Class 6. Class 1 is won by Richard Mayer Barron, despite the late mechanical dramas.